Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Judy here. If you're interested in fascinating discoveries in the world of science, you've come to the right place. Right now, I upload one video to this channel each and every week. Before we dive into today's topic, please allow me to thank the friends who bought me coffee from my website last week. Thank you so much for your kind support, my friends. Thank you. My friends, do you think I have thick hair? I had way thicker hair when I was a child. Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? As we grow older, we lose hair. And when we are under pressure, we lose more hair than normal. Right, we don't wanna lose hair. You see, my friends, my hair grows fast, but it gets thinner and thinner. If you don't think I have thin hair, let me cut some off. Okay, see? It's very thin. Now let's wait and see how long it'll grow back. Usually it takes about 3 months. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and see how long my hair will grow back. Okay? By the way, it won't cost you anything. So we lose hair when we grow old, when we are stressed, or when we have some autoimmune diseases, right? Why? Well, it's because our hair follicles are damaged due to these factors. You might know that adult stem cells have the ability to differentiate into several cell types necessary to repair damaged hair follicles. Yeah, they play a crucial role in hair follicle regeneration, a fundamental hair growth and health process. The hair follicle is one of the few mammalian tissues that can undergo rounds of regeneration throughout life. The hair follicle naturally cycles between growth and rest, a process fueled by hair follicle stem cells, which are a type of adult stem cell. That's right, the hair follicle cycle consists three phases: growth, regression, and rest. During the growth phase, hair follicle stem cells become activated to regenerate the hair follicle and hairs grow longer each day. But during the resting phase, the stem cells are quiescent and hairs may shed more easily. Hair loss can occur if hair shed and the stem cells remain quiescent without regenerating new tissue. However, there's good news. Some Harvard University researchers found a major stress hormone that causes hair follicle stem cells to stay in resting phase for a very long time without regenerating the hair follicle and hair. So they removed the stress hormones from the mice, and then the mice constantly enter the growth phase to regenerate hair follicles throughout life, even when they were old. Sounds fascinating, right? But these initial findings in mice need to be further studied before it can be safely applied to humans. So Let's hope it'll work for humans in the future, shall we? You know, my friends, I'm an average person, so I always want everyday people live better lives. Ordinary people work hard and they deserve to be treated better. Also, as you know, I don't believe in any doctrines. I only believe in myself and Candyism, which doesn't exist because Candy was my late dog. But in Candy's world, the country is ruled by two or more parties, and average people are taken good care of by the government. However, it doesn't exist. In reality, the ruling party doesn't want everyday people to live well, to live long lives, which is why the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill is gonna cut Medicare and Medicaid. As you know, Medicare is a federal health insurance for people aged 65 and older, and some people under 65 with certain disabilities or conditions. And Medicaid is a joint federal and state program that helps cover medical costs for some people with limited income and resources. Medicaid offers benefits that Medicare doesn't normally cover, like nursing home care and personal care services. According to the Yale School of Public Health, the changes to federal health care programs of the One Big Beautiful Bill would kill more than 51,000 Americans annually. So here's the question. Why do they want to kill ordinary people, especially poor people? Well, in my opinion, some evil people at the top just want healthy young people to work, work, and work. And these evil people want ordinary people to die as soon as possible once they get old or they can't work. This way, the government doesn't need to pay back. As for disabled people, they along with low-income and elderly people are considered as the country's liabilities by these evil people. You know, when a businessman runs a country like running a company, he would get rid of the liabilities, right? So these evil people want them to die as quickly as possible. Yes, they've been telling people that taking care of everyday people is socialism, but it's a huge lie. Taking care of everyday people's lives is the government's duty. Everyday people work hard, harder than the rich. They deserve to be taken good care of by the government when they get old or sick. No one wants to age. No one wants to be disabled. No one wants to get sick. A free country shouldn't just use healthy young people to make money for the rich and the government and then get rid of them once they need help and care. So I say this so-called One Big Beautiful Bill is inhumane. Okay, my friends, you know that I've talked about vitamin D deficiency in my previous videos if you're not new to this channel, right? If you're a new friend, and you would like to watch it later, please check it out in the description or comment. Yeah, today we are gonna talk about vitamin D, more specific, vitamin D3. As you might know, vitamin D is an umbrella term for two forms of the vitamin D2 and D3. Though the two forms offer the same health benefits, vitamin D3 is generally considered most effective for raising and maintaining vitamin D level. That's right. Both forms of vitamin D are good for your health. They play a vital role in supporting immune health and bone strength. Moreover, some studies have shown the benefits of vitamin D in reducing inflammation and lowering risks of certain chronic diseases of aging. And now, a new study just found that vitamin D3 has another benefit. It may slow cellular aging, meaning it may promote longevity. Speaking of longevity, you know that I've talked about many topics in this field, right? If you haven't watched those videos, please check them out in the description or comment as well. And please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Thank you. By the way, it won't cost you anything. So, according to the new study, vitamin D3 may slow aging by 3 years. What? How? Well, the study found that vitamin D supplements may protect against a key driver of cellular aging and age-related diseases. Yes, the researchers found that vitamin D3 supplements helped preserve telomeres. If you haven't heard of telomeres, they are protective caps at the ends of your DNA, and they help keep your cells stable every time they divide. You know, every time your cells divide, telomeres get a little shorter and don't protect chromosomes. Yes, telomere shortening is a normal part of aging. When telomeres get too short, the resulting DNA damage can lead to cell death. The good news is this new study found that vitamin D3 supplementation helps minimize the shortening of telomeres in white blood cells, which could help slow down biological aging. But, my friends, please note that the researchers said taking a pill or a dietary supplement will never be a substitute for a healthy diet and healthy lifestyle. Moreover, they warned too much vitamin D can be toxic. So if you wanna increase your vitamin D intake, you'd better talk with a trusted healthcare provider in order to find the right approach for you. My friends, do you remember that I talked about the film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I talked about Elon Musk's chainsaw and Doge? Of course, if you're new to this channel, please check it out in the description or comment. Yeah, today I'm gonna talk about a fallacy that also relates to Texas, the Texas Sharpshooter fallacy. The name comes from a metaphor about the Texas man with a gun but no shooting skills, who fires a number of bullets into the wall of a barn, and then paints a shooting target around the fortuitous cluster of bullet holes, and claims to be a sharpshooter. The Texas sharpshooter fallacy often arises when a person has a large amount of data at their disposal, but only focus on a small subset of that data. Yes, human perception tends to identify patterns where none actually exist. We ignore differences and focus on similarities, thus coming to a false conclusion. A conclusion is made based on only the criteria that produce the desired outcome. I think this is the very reason that Trumpers believe Trump's lies, especially his 2020 big lie. They believe his lie because their desired outcome is Trump won, though in reality he lost. You see, my friends, when they desire meaning, when they want things to line up, when looking for something specific, they tend to notice patterns everywhere, which leads them to ask the question, did Trump win? And they believe he won. They don't only believe his words, but also believe the false data and information they found. Just like the Texas man who believed himself a sharpshooter first, Trumpers believed Trump's words first and reached their conclusion. And then they began to look for the so-called evidence to support their false conclusion. And they really believe Trump won. However, like I've said in my previous videos, I believe that Trump knew that he lost. He just couldn't admit the fact that Biden won the 2020 election. And to this day, he still continues spreading this lie. Yes, it's Trump being Trump who cannot stop spreading lies. As for Trumpers, they are already in the world of the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. They are already deeply in the MAGA code. They cannot stop being Trumpers. So I think they'll continue believing his lies, even when their lives are damaged badly by his policies. What do you think, my friends? What's your take? So, my friends, as you might know, I'm a big dog lover and I have 2 dogs. Right now, I have a kitten. Yeah, I found the kitten in a cold corner on my way home and then I took him in. So now he's my Mr. Monkey. If you're not new to my YouTube channels, you've been seeing him in my videos ever since I adopted him, right? Yeah, he's a so very independent soul who never likes being held in arms. But he's a sweet boy. Alright, I guess you already know today I'm gonna talk about dogs and cats. As you know, the dog and cat families diverged from a common ancestor about 5 million years ago. Yes, they evolved along several paths. In evolutionary biology, Divergence is a common process where two organisms that share a common ancestry becoming increasingly different over time. So now dogs and cats are two different creatures. However, a new study found that certain dog and cat breeds, particularly those with short muzzled or smashed faces, have undergone a form of convergent evolution, becoming more similar in skull shape than their wild counterparts due to human selection for specific traits. Yeah, their study revealed that some cats and dogs have evolved to look alike, which is why you might find that Persian cats and pugs look alike once you take a good look at them. They share similar skull structures because they both being selectively bred to have flat and squished faces. The researchers, evolutionary biologist Dr. Abby Drake and her team scanned more than 1,800 skulls of cats, dogs, and a variety of wild species, and their research uncovered evidence of what could be described as a form of copycat evolution, particularly among breeds with extremely certain faces. In fact, selective breeding has exaggerated traits across species. In case of domestic cats, dogs, and other domesticated species selected by humans seem to steer different species toward similar traits. So yes, now dogs and cats are much more alike simply because human beings have hacked their millions of years of evolution. It's kind of interesting, but all this meddling comes with a price. According to the UK's Animal Welfare Committee, breeding for extreme physical traits like flat faces and exaggerated skull shapes has led to health problems like breathing difficulties. So it might not be a good thing that cats and dogs look alike because of human being selection, right? Okay, my friends, I'd like to know that Trump has been saying that only he can save the world from the World War III for many years. In fact, he also always claims that he has saved this and that, or only he can save this and that. How ridiculous. Unfortunately, so many people believe his illogical, unreasonable, and absurd words. Now you know why they don't want people to be well educated and why they want people to stay Trumper-like. Alright, you see, my friends, fake heroes always brag about the heroic things they didn't do or will never do, while real heroes always maintain a humble outlook on the heroic things they've done, like the man who actually stopped the World War III. Yes, we are going to talk about Stanislav Petrov, the man who stopped an all-out nuclear exchange between Russia and the United States on September 26, 1983. Petrov was a real hero. He almost single-handedly prevented the deaths of hundreds of millions, if not billions of people in both the US and the Soviet Union, even worldwide. Why? Well, you see, my friends, 3 weeks before the event, the Soviet Union had shut down a South Korean flight, killing 269 people, including a U.S. congressman. NATO was bombarded with a show of military exercises, including the deployment of new intermediate-range ballistic missiles, which the Soviet Defense Minister characterized as a means for a first strike. And then, on September 26, Lieutenant Colonel Petrov was called in an underground bunker, monitoring the Soviet early warning detection system. Then the system indicated 5 incoming American nuclear missiles. Petrov had only minutes to decide whether or not the satellite data were a false alarm. If he reported incoming American strike, the Soviet nuclear doctrine would call for a full nuclear retaliation. That would lead to an all-out US-Russia nuclear war. Since Petrov had helped design the bunker and some of its technology, he knew the system was not 100% foolproof. So he categorized the threat as a false alarm. And according to his own words, he didn't want to be the one responsible for starting a third world war. And it turned out he was right. The US didn't launch a nuclear war. Like I've said before in my previous videos, no world leaders would launch a nuclear war unless he's a fool. And Petrov was a real hero who truly stopped the Third World War, saving millions of lives. My friends, if you're not new to this channel, you might remember that I've talked about both herpes and Alzheimer's disease, right? So today, I'm gonna talk about them and the link between them. And my friends, if you haven't watched those videos, please check them out in the description or comment. Okay, let's talk about them. Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia, the most common neurodegenerative disorder. Yes, dementia is a wide term for cognitive decline disorders like Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. According to the World Health Organization trusted source, by 2030, the number of people with dementia will reach 78 million. And Alzheimer's disease represents 60 to 80% of dementia cases. As for herpes simplex, it often known as herpes. It's a viral infection caused by herpes simplex virus, of which there are 2 major types, oral herpes and genital herpes. Oral herpes or herpes simplex virus type 1 is also known as HSV1, affects not only the mouth and surrounding skin, but also potentially the genital region. It may result in small blisters in groups, often called cold sores or fever blisters, or It may just cause a sore throat, and herpes simplex virus type 2 or genital herpes typically causes genital herpes and is usually sexually transmitted. Yes, there's no cure for herpes, but treatment can help manage symptoms. With that being said, a new study found that people who had an HSV-1 infection had an 80% increased risk of Alzheimer's. Yes, the study showed that the herpes simplex virus type 1 could have a role in development of Alzheimer's disease. In fact, some previous studies have implicated HSV-1 in the development of dementia, and now this new study shows the role for herpes viruses in the development of AD and a reduced risk of AD among patients receiving antiherpetic medications. Yes, the researchers found that people who had taken medications to treat HSV-1 infections were 17% less likely to develop Alzheimer's compared with those not taking any medication. But my friends, please note, there's no pharmaceutical trial to confirm it. Also, you should know that people commonly experience HSV-1 infections, and it doesn't mean they absolutely develop Alzheimer's. In other words, you don't need to worry if you were herpes diagnosis. Okay, my friends, in case you don't know me yet, I'm Judy London, a fan of Jack London. I'm a public writer who writes fiction and non-fiction novels and short stories. You're very welcome to visit my website, judyfaylondon.com or Amazon to read my poems and my short stories. The last one, Mr. Rat, Candy the dog, and so on, and my latest non-fiction book, Living with the Walking Dead, a roadmap for achieving your own success. I hope to see you there, and I thank you so much for your kind support, and thank you very much for subscribing to my YouTube channels, Judy London and Judy Plus. Judy London is a channel that mainly talks about culture, economics, and dictators and various events and people in human history, while Judy Plus is a channel that talks about interesting discoveries in the world of science. And my friends, if you're interested in knowing the details about this topic, please check out the related articles in the description. Thank you for watching. And my friends, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Thank you.